Just like it says, Sur Me'ra v'asei toiv. Sur Me'ra means turn away from evil, v'asei toiv, and do good. The way everything always happens is first evil has to be subdued and destroyed. Once that happens, or overturned or whatever, once that happens, then Kedusha, holiness, that which is righteous, can come in. So therefore, as far as I'm concerned, that's really what you're seeing. Trump is going to overturn, and I mentioned last week, it's astounding to watch that God, the Rabbi Shalom, what he did is he destroyed 5 things in one shot. And I said that he destroyed Obama, Hillary, he destroyed the media, he destroyed the Democratic Party, and he destroyed all the liberals, all the leftist progressives and liberals that are in many ways their whole view is anti-Torah. And he destroyed it with one shot by putting in Trump. And therefore that is what the idea of that is, to subdue evil, to remove the evil of America, which they clearly represent. And like he says, he's going to clean the swamp, which means that he's going to obviously clean up Washington D.C., which is a total bed of corruption. And that's the concept of Sur Me'ra. So first you always see removing evil, you see, and that'll take a little while. Then once that gets started, then you begin to see Asei Toiv. That's when you could see the turnaround in terms of the messianic process, in terms of the positive, you see. And that takes time, because it's like they say it's like the sun rising. First you see the light, and then you see the orb of the sun slowly, and it rises, and more light and so on becomes much more intense and so on.
That's what Matzpech can ensure. That you
plant
a seed, it takes time.
But in any case, until it goes above the ground. First it develops beneath the ground, then it goes above. So that is always the order of redemption, you see. First it's like by Moshe Rabbeinu when he went to Egypt, first you had the, the Makas, all the blows, the plagues of Egypt and so on. That was to subdue Egypt, and then once they went through the Red Sea, the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, and that's when you began to see the tremendous amount of holiness. So in order to make room for the holiness, you always have to remove or subdue the evil. Very important concept. And as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what's happening. And the evil has been substantially destroyed, reduced. The evil has been substantially reduced, destroyed. And once he gets in, I believe that hopefully shortly after, you will see a rise in holiness. It means the positive is now going to turn away from one side and go to the side of Toiv, good and righteousness. So anyway, so this is what seems to be happening. Any case, but this is going to go on for a long time, that the Democrats are going to try to shoot down Trump, because their way of life is ending, and they can't deal with that, obviously, and they're just coming out with the insanity of what they're doing is beyond belief, the immaturity and the childishness and so on, and that's really, you're looking at, I think, the death of the Democratic Party, because in 6 months into his presidency, he will have accomplished so much that people are going to say, well, where was the Democratic Party? Where was Obama in all the years and so on and so forth? And that, like I said last week, the contrast is going to sink Obama. If you think he's sunk now, he's going to sink much further after Trump accomplishes what he promised to make America great. As that goes up, Obama will sink and the whole Democratic Party will sink, because the contest will destroy them. That's what's going to happen. Anyway, any questions? That's my take on current events. Meanwhile, it's right on schedule. He's just doing incredible stuff as a president-elect. And of course, they try to stop him with the Electoral College. It's just incredible. First, they try to stop him with Russia, that he rigged the whole election, which is absurd. Talk about psychosis, this is the real psychosis, delusional thinking, Then they try to stop them with the recount, and now they try to stop them with the Electoral College. I hear these guys were receiving like 6,000 messages, each one please switch your loyalty and all that kind of stuff. It's beyond belief. This is historic. This will go down in the textbooks as historic, that this has never happened, that one party that lost, absolute hysteria. Never happened before. And that's what you're seeing now.
There was an article that last Friday, they had 186,000 plus permits for new gun owners, the most they had in the last 20 years, and the reporting was that 4-1 were all liberals. Like
4-1 were all liberals.
Yeah, the people who never would purchase a gun, but now because Trump is in office, they feel that they're endangered, like blacks, gays, different minorities. So they're all buying guns because now they think that they have to protect themselves.
I see. Wow.
So
what paranoia. You know, talk about paranoia.
They're stockpiling guns, the liberals now.
Not just the reaction is beyond belief. Really incredible.
Aren't
Anyway.
organizations
Because they're anti-gun.
like very
They need
the
one.
very organizations that are on the right that are evil, like the KKK, are using this opportunity.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So I mean that might be part of what they're scared of. But
Well, the fact that he's friendly with Russia, so now they're afraid that there's going to be a nuclear war. It's just like it's insanity. Plain, simple insanity. That's all it is. It's anyway. Okay. Now he says the Ramchal, going back in the Derech Hashem, he was speaking about the setup. The setup really is there's a physical world, physical existence, and the physical world, which is really physical. What the Baruch Hashem did is he took a neshama, a soul, and he sort of like stuffed it in. It's not the proper word, but he tied with a bond that cannot be severed. The soul, the spiritual soul, he tied it to the physical body. That's what he did. Which is unheard of, because usually, it's literally like tying together fire and water, where they coexist at the same time. I mean, it's unheard of, because there's positive and negatives, right? And when a positive meets a negative, what will happen? They'll annihilate each other. It's like matter and antimatter. When they meet, there's an immediate annihilation of each other, and it turns into pure energy, So the amazing thing is that the neshama and the guf can actually reside together. That's nisim. So the question is how. So the question you can ask yourself is, well, which is more powerful? Will the soul annihilate the body, or the body annihilate the soul? It's an interesting question. And the answer is that really the neshama is so powerful, the soul of man is so powerful that if it was ever connected to the body and therefore limited by the body, in other words, it cannot express itself in any way, then it would also automatically, and the Ramchal says this, it would be mezakech. It would immediately purify the body. It would remove its physicality of the guf. You wouldn't be physical anymore. You would be, but it's like it would resemble something that's physical, but it would be completely translucent. It wouldn't operate at all as a physical substance. You would not be hungry, thirsty, none of that stuff. There would be no drives or urges at all. And the body would be translucent. If the neshama could do what it naturally does. So the neshama is infinitely more powerful than the guf. The question, of course, is why doesn't it happen? And the answer to that is because God decreed however he does it. And he makes it, he surrounds the neshama with just an impossibility of its doing it. And the neshama therefore it's like being in a prison. The neshama, the soul of man, is in a prison, and it cannot purify the body. It cannot dematerialize or render the physical body non-physical, and so on, because that's the gzera, and that's what the Ramchal says. And because the Rabbi Shalom Ha'odem Baruch Hu, right, that he decreed, and therefore that decree that's it. That's the Bria. He decreed that the body and the neshama can never be separated, which is interesting. And I'm talking about not only never be separated, but never be separated for eternity. God wants every soul to have a covering called the guf. However, obviously you can ask a question. Well, wait a minute. Guy dies, his neshama leaves. You know what I'm saying? So what do you mean?
The Gilgal, one neshama can possess three different. Or however.
Well, yeah. So obviously it does leave. You know. So but I'm calling.
Even if Hashem wants the body to be there in Olam Haba, which one is it?
Which one is what?
Meaning.
Well, that's it. So I think the Zohar says that it's the one that the individual did the most tikkunim. It means that lifetime that he did the greatest amount of tikkun. You know, mitzvahs and all that, tshuva and so on. You know, that is the body that you wake up with. You see, but that won't stop another person from not recognizing who you are. You know.
They'll sense the neshama.
Yeah. So there's obviously the neshama at that point. Will in some way radiate through the body, and you'll be able to know who that person is.
So Hatak it is.
You know, he won't go around with a nameplate. You know, this is who I was. You know, that he's not going to do that. You know.
Yeah, person.
Yeah, that was Yaakov's dream. That Sulam Mutabarza, Rosh Magiah Shemama.
But
that his physical guf is down here, but his head is in Shema.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
He's elevated, getting the Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, but
you know how he could sleep. His face is engraved in the.
Who you talking about? Who you talking about?
The Malachim when he.
No. I hear.
They were confounded. They didn't.
I don't want to get into that because then you go from a whole different direction, you know. So in any case, so the question then is, how's that work? I mean, obviously the neshama separates from the body upon death, right? And by Tchias HaMesim, the neshama will return. You see, I mean, the first question is why does it separate? Why is there death? I think good question. Anybody know why?
That's the next part of this.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to talk about that, you know. Wow. Why is there death? Why, if God intends for...
ruin the guf so much that there's no hope. It has to...
Well, the question, ruin the guf is yeah. The problem is that once you fell, the problem is that once the Sultan's Zoyama is his projection, where he can control. He exudes, so to speak, a projection. It's a tumah. It's called tumah, and he projects that, and then onto the body, and that's what gives him access to the body in terms of the Yetzer Hara. And it's more than that. There's besides the Yetzer Hara, there's a lot more that the Satan does with the body and so on, you know. But essentially, what happens is that the neshama can dematerialize geshem, which is physical material. It cannot dematerialize zoyama. That is the problem. You see, had Adam not sinned, right, and he would have done the mitzvah, not eating from the tree and so on, then his neshama at that point in time would have immediately mezakech the guf. It would have purified the body and dematerialized the body, because the neshama can do that. But once the zoyama enters, because Adam sinned, right, and therefore the defilement, the contamination of the Satan, right, entered the body, that the neshama cannot purify evil. It can only purify, so to speak, or remove the contaminant called the physical world. It can remove the contaminant of the physicality of the body, but it cannot remove tumah, the zoyama, you see. So therefore that became necessary, that at some point in time, the neshama must separate from the body. Now what will that wait? What will that gain? What that gains, when a person is buried, the body decays, or I should say decomposes. What?
Klicheres.
What about klicheres?
It can only be with the tyras with shattering.
The tara, yeah, okay. That's okay. And the body decomposes, right? And therefore the zoyama leaves. Because the zoyama leaves the body, And when it leaves, then when the neshama re-enters, it now only has to deal with guf, physical, and not zoyama, not tumma, not defilement or contamination, and so on. And then the neshama will, at that point in time, which is obviously resurrection of the dead, tchias hamesim, and then the neshama will purify the body, because that's what it does. And God will remove the gzera, the decree that limits the neshama from doing this. He will remove that, and automatically, and also that there's no zoyama because this guy has been buried, and so on. That's why everybody has to die for 2 hours, even when Mashiach comes, because you need to go die and remove that zoyama, that contaminant in you, that tumma, that impurity. And then once that's removed, and God removes the gzera, the decree that limits the neshama, automatically the neshama will be able to purify the body in one shot, which is really amazing. So that's why you have Tchias HaMesim. Not only that's why you have Tchias HaMesim, the resurrection of the dead. The essential idea of that is obviously that the neshama has to leave the body. But the Ramchal says that it's an eternal bond. So the answer, like I just said, is because it was not anticipated, or it shouldn't have been, that the body will now contain zoyama. See, it shouldn't have been. But now that it is, so therefore you need to decompose the body, get rid of the zoyama, the decree has to be lifted, right? And then the neshama, when it re-enters, is mezakich the guf. That's why. However, that necessitated another thing, the concept of Gan Eden. Because where it's going to hang out? Right? I mean, it sounds funny, but if the neshama is not in the guf, right, and there's no Olam Haba yet, we know that because Olam Haba, we have not made Olam Haba in that sense, right? So the question is, where's the neshama going to go? And the answer is, there's a special place called Gan Eden or Elyoin, the upper Gan Eden, okay? And that's also called the Olam HaNeshamas, the world of souls. So all the neshamas that die, right, they may have to go through Gehenna or whatever, but once that's over, what happens is that they go to this Olam HaNeshamas, which is the world of souls, and they reside there. What happens?
Has a physical aspect. Also.
No, it's pure ruchni.
Whatever I've read, it does have, the way you see it is in physicality of how your relatives come to you.
Well, I tell you what, let me describe it. That's better, right? Let me try that out, right? But the interesting thing about the Olam HaNeshamas, which is the world of souls, is that it's spiritual. It's a spiritual world because we're talking about neshama, right? It's a spiritual world, and each neshama will experience, proportionately to what it did here, it will experience a tremendous amount of ruchnius. It's nothing compared to what it will experience in Olam Haba, but it's called the me'ain. It's the me'ain. It's an abstract of what it will experience in the future world, but it will experience an incredible amount of spirituality. But at that point in time, it's not everybody experiences the same. It's proportionate to what they did. So everybody experiences spirituality, but only in proportion to what they did here, which is exactly what's going to be in the future world, Olam Haba. People will experience different levels of Olam Haba, you see, based on the amount that they did here. And that's called true justice. That's really justice, and so on. And therefore, Olam HaNeshamas is a spiritual experience. And we don't even know what goes on there, but who's ever there, if they come back, there have been reports where neshamas, people actually, where neshama can go back to you in your dream. You read about people who were visited by people from that world and so on. And the report that you always see is that it's beyond belief. That the experience over there is, you cannot describe it, It's like, telling somebody who never ate, it's like telling somebody who just ate, hate to say it, but vegetables his whole life, never tasted a real steak, those guys who are into steak. And you give the guy a steak, with onions and fried onions, all that, right? And he's like, I can't believe this. What is this? Just beyond belief, this thing, you know? That's what Olam HaNeshamas is, you know, the tremendous Ruchnis experience and so on. But by Tchias Mason, what is interesting is they'll all come back into the Neshama, into the Guf, and at that point, like I said, all of it will purify the body. Now, I mentioned a while back, a long time ago, that there's a Zoya, it's a Raya Mehemna in the Zoya, that says that most people think that when Tchias HaMesim happens, right, it's going to happen in one shot. Everybody who gets up will get up, right? It would seem that way, right? And so on. But the Zoya says that that's not what happens. The Zoya said that depending on each one's addiction, if you use that word, each one's addiction to the physical world, right? The level of their addiction, how much they were tied to it, right, is going to slow down the zikuch of the neshama. So the Zohar says that it'll take 200, there's an argument. One says it will take 210 years for the whole Tchias HaMesim to happen. And another person says, another person says, that it'll take 200, did I say 210 plus? The second one will be 214. A 14-year difference, whatever, and so on, you know. But the whole Tchias HaMesim will take place, it'll take 210 years. If you recall, that's what I said a long time ago. What is stunning about that is based on that Zoya, right? We know that Tchias HaMesim can only start after Mashiach ben David comes, right? Messiah, the son of David, Mashiach ben David, he comes, and then Tchias HaMesim begins, okay? And then you have people slowly coming back and getting out of their grave, you know, however that works and so on and so forth. And when they come back, they'll come back exactly how they died. Means if the guy died as a cripple, he comes back as a cripple. Okay? And if a guy died, whatever, blind, whatever, it doesn't make a difference, right? He comes back. And then all of a sudden, as the neshama is mezakech, the whole body changes, you know, in whatever process, length it takes. And then the person is restored to his youth, so to speak, and so on. But I want to tell you something. By Tchias HaMesim, which is important to know, the zikuch will not take place when the guy gets up. It's not like that, okay? The zikuch will not take place then. In other words, the guy will get up the way he died, and he'll slowly revert, basically, until the age that he was 22 years old, which I'm assuming, which really even biologically is the best time. Whatever you are, that's your best. In terms of physical, cognitive, emotional, you like in 22 years old, that is the prime. After that, it was all downhill. Right? And which means that the body now begins, the cells die, and now the body cannot repair it as quick. And slowly can't repair, and then all of a sudden the guy...
Is that an exact age, 22?
Yeah, 22 is your best.
22 is
I think Adam Mauritian was like a 22-year-old person.
It's the letters of the Aleph phase.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you
that's
start,
true.
like, that's when
No, don't bring it. Yeah. That. Although it's okay. It's just have to keep it short.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to be committed during that time.
Committed?
Yeah, they're going to go crazy. People rising from the dead. Why
would a guy go crazy if he himself rose from the dead?
No,
right? Everybody's going to rise, you know.
There's going to be people who aren't ready because their zikuch isn't ready to go there, and they're going to see relatives just getting up from the grave.
I'm sure there'll be a share on it or something.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure the Mashiach is going to explain what's about to happen, you know. But anyway, so you so slowly revert to being at an age which is 22, basically. I think Adam Rishon was like a 22-year-old, and so on. But zikuch of the guf will not happen. Just that the body itself will revert to being what it was great, you know, in its prime. Zikuch happens in the beginning of the 8,000th year. What happens is, what? Well, what happens is that for 1,000 years, I once mentioned this a long time ago, from 6,000, which is the English year 2240, until the year 7,000, okay, which is the year 3240, right? This is after the Mashiach, is ended, because the Mashiach ends at the year 6000, which is the English year 2240, right? Which is what, 224 years from now? It's amazing how close we are and so on, you know. So the like I say, the body is, you're still physical, you know, with Chesam Mesim, a new guf, new everything and so on, and so on, you know. But the transformation of the body will not occur. What happens is in the 7,000th year, the entire physical universe is destroyed. Everything. Okay? And the physical universe itself has a zikuch. That's first. In other words, the outer always has the zikuch.
Is it more of a destruction or is it more of a transcendence?
Let's say it's a transcendence or transformation. Yeah. See, what we don't realize, which is interesting, you know, we don't realize something, and well, let me just say this, that the transformation begins from the outer to the inner. That's the way it always begins, right? So the question is, what is the relationship with the universe and us? What is it? See, we don't realize that we are the universe. We don't realize that what is out there is really a manifestation of us. It's sort of like, it's like the universe is our clothing. As far as we're concerned, we see what? Well, I'm here and everything is out there, right? What do I have to do with the stars and the planets and all that, right? What do I have to do with anybody here, right? And so on and so forth, you know? But we don't realize that it's an illusion. Really, the universe is the outer shell of the Jewish people. It's an interesting way of looking at it, that there is no real separation. In this world, it looks like there's a separation, but that universe is really us. Even though it looks, what does that have to do with us? And so on, you see? So therefore, when the zikuch happens, that's a very important yisoid, that the physical universe is really us. It's not something else. Except it looks, the illusion is that it's something else. It is other, you see. Just like the Jewish people are really one. God didn't create many neshamas. It's really one neshama, and that becomes, that one great neshama called Knesset Yisrael was individuated. But it's really, it's still a mystical one. The same thing, the entire creation is really the outer shell of the Jewish people. So therefore, if the zikuch begins, okay, if that transformation begins, the purification, then it will start from the outer shell, which is the universe. And that takes 1,000 years, you see. So after 1,000 years, after 1,000 years, what happens is that the entire universe is different. It has lost its material status. It's no longer physical. It is translucent, even though we have no idea what that means. You know, so we're not talking about, you know, atoms and, you know, which constitutes, of course, physical matter. It's a completely different type of substance that will happen once that happens, you see. Okay? It's a very important concept that the universe is really us. You know where you see that, interesting enough? You know where you really see that? By Negoim. It's not called leprosy, it's a mistake. But the concept of a nega, or whatever, it wasn't a disease, it was really a skin discoloration, obviously. Because if you remember, if somebody speaks Lashon Hara, that's one of the reasons, so then it's in the Goyim Boy, my love. A person will get tsuras, whatever that is, right? It's a skin discoloration that happens, right? Then you have to, so where's going to hit you first? So it hit 3 places. The house, the clothing, and the guy's body. Yes? Where's it hit first? The house, right? So we say, okay, you know, what's it doing on the house? You know what I'm saying? It's a house, you know? But the Torah says that if for whatever reason it doesn't go away, you got to break the whole house down. Well, who ever heard something like that? You just peel it off or you repaint it and that's the end of it. You know, so it's hard to understand. Why would a guy have to destroy his house because it's tsuras on his house? It's like what is that supposed to mean? You know what I'm saying? And the answer is, not only that, why does it hit the house? You don't find it hits a house. The guy gets sick. The house doesn't get sick first. then the clothing. Like, what kind of a progression is that? But the idea is, if you think about it, that your possessions are really you. You don't realize that, and that's the concept of Bailus. Bailus isn't a legal concept in Judaism, which means that, well, we all agree that you own this, but that's it. Bailus really is what's called an ontological relationship. It is you. You see, that which you own is part of your being. You see, it's a whole different way of understanding. Therefore, your house which you own is part of your being. If that's the case, if you need to be afflicted by tsuras, right, then it will afflict you, but the outermost portion of your being. Why? To give you a warning, right? And if you don't learn, if you don't stop talking Lashon Hara, right, then it's going to move further. It's like, it's like bacteria invade the skin, So it's it's on the skin, right? But if you don't do anything, it's going to go into until it becomes a blood infection. That's bad news and so on. The same thing. Neged tsuras is on the house is a skin infection. But what's it doing on the house? Because that is yours, and whatever you own is really you. It is called the outer shell of you, even though it looks different. It's a house, not me. So therefore, if you don't do tshuva, then it begins to go further into the clothing, into the, into the below the dermis, below the skin layers and so on. Then if you really don't do tshuva, then it hits the guf, or the guf and so on, you see. But that's really what it is. And that's the concept, just like the concept by Neged tsuras. I'm showing you the parallel to that, that what Bailus is really that what you own, like your tie, it's your tie. You don't realize that tie is part of you. Ontologically, the word ontology means being. It's part of you ontologically and existentially, except it looks like it's a tie. It's the outermost part. And therefore, when a Neged tsuras hits, it will hit you, but the skin first. You see? And that's where you see it demonstrated. And therefore, the same concept. Once it starts, then it is the universe. The universe is nothing more than the outer shell of the Jewish people. Amazing when you think about that. And every Jew has some part of that universe. You see? So when that universe begins to get a zikuch, it's really we, except it's our outermost manifestation. You see?
Is there a way to control the elements based on?
No. It all depends on how much you did. It all depends on how much you did in this lifetime. That's it. Once that happens, there's no bechira anymore. There's no free will because there's no mitzvahs anymore. It's over with. Once Mashiach ben David comes, that's it. No more free will. Then everything is a reaction to what you earned. You see, that's what happens. But it's no longer bechira. It's not a mitzvah. You no longer get credit or reward for that idea. You see?
That in Kabbalah, the universe is the guf of the neshama elyon.
The what?
The universe is the guf of the neshama elyon of the Rabbi Shalom.
No. The universe is physical. Why would it be the guf of the Rabban Shalom? No, the universe is the outward manifestation of us, and the illusion of this bria. When God created the bria, what's the most fundamental idea that He created in this bria, in this physical universe? And the answer is pirud, separation. Everything looks separate. You see, it's a very fundamental idea because the universe or the Olam HaNeshamas at the level of God is all achtos, it's all part of Him. So tzimtzum means that He restricted Himself and all of a sudden there became what's called an other. And that other looks like it's separate from God, but really it's not, except we don't realize how it's connected. And then the other itself became more other and more other. But in the end, it's all really one concept. It's one guf echad, which is interesting. So therefore, that's why the universe gets the zikuch first, because it's our outer skin. you know, and so on. You never know. Maybe there's a Jew walking around and he's connected to Pluto.
So what happens in the 1,000 years in between?
You know, from 6 to 7. So the universe gets a zikuch.
To 8.
Who?
To 8.
Till 8. Takes 1,000 years. Chazal refer to that as Chad Chorov. Chad Chorov means for 1,000 years the world is desolate. And all the people who are in the world that have experienced Ches and Mesim and so on, they will be lifted off this world, and they momentarily will go into the what is called the Olam Yetzira, because that's really the next level up, you see. And what happens is, which is interesting, is that from the 8,000th year to the 9,000th year, well, 6 to 7, from the 7th to the 8th, that's when the body itself begins to experience a zikoch, a tremendous transformation from a physical entity to a spiritual. And that takes 1,000 years.
How can you have a dematerialization of physicality from 6 to 7 without the guf going through the same transition?
Say that again from the...
How can you have a dematerialization of physicality from 6 to 7
Yeah.
without the guf going through the same process?
The price? What it means is that the initiation of just to explain first, the initiation of that process will not begin for the individual neshama. The neshama cannot radiate itself and therefore change the body that it's in until the beginning of the 8,000th year. So the guf will be...
The transition that happens, there will be a transition that happens to the guf, but that transition is the body basically riding the transition happening during the sorrow.
That's right.
The transition that happens
on itself,
an effect of the neshama zikuch,
correct,
doesn't happen until 8 to 9.
Correct. Yes. Okay. So from 8 to 9, actually what's really happening is that from 6 to 7, right, then the whole world becomes Olam Yetzira, which is the world above it. You know, there's a whole series of worlds, spiritual worlds, there's Asiya, which is this world, and then you have Yetzira, which is next world, then Bria, then Atzilus. Those are the Kabbalistic worlds. And then you have Adam Kadmon, which is Olam Haba. So from 6 to 7, right, what happens is this physical world, which is Asiya, becomes Yetzira. From 7 to 8, Yetzira transforms itself, okay, into Bria. From 8 to 9, into Atzilus. And the beginning of 9,000 year is Olam Haba. So therefore the year 9001 is Olam Haba. And that is completely, it's incomprehensible what that is. You know, it's not even a transformation anymore. It's a different type of existence. Olam Haba. It's not like, well, Olam Haba is this world, but it's a utopia, and it becomes spiritual. Olam Haba, it's spiritual because it's not physical, but we cannot even imagine what kind of spirituality exists in that world called Olam Haba, which is what's called Adam Kadmon in Kabbalah. You see, because the 4 lower worlds are considered part of Olam Hazeh. When you get over that, which is for the 9,000 and on, it becomes a different type of existence. You know, it's not just existence which is superior. It's a different type of existence. And like we say, we cannot imagine what that is, although I once gave a shiur what I think it is. Anyway, if you guys want to hear it, I once said it to you. Name? What is the experience of Olam Haba? Anybody know? I could just pop some,
More existence.
Yeah, you remember that, right? What Olam Haba is, it's interesting. In this world, you either exist or you don't exist. Am I right? As they say in proper English, you either is or you ain't. Right? There's no middle. Between existence and non-existence, there's no middle. Correct? Either you exist or you don't exist. There's no middle here. Existence doesn't have grades or degrees. Existence means you are or you're not. There is no gradation of existence. But in Olam Haba, which is interesting, what is there? What are you experiencing in Olam Haba? You are experiencing God, Vekas, total, right? But the essence of God is being itself. So therefore you actually can exist more. Interesting. We don't know what that is.
Of course we do. Shabbos. You exist more.
No.
And we don't really exist.
You don't exist more. Excuse me. No. You don't exist more. You experience more. There's a difference between the two.
No, you exist more. Your life is
No. You
life force.
No. Yeah. But you experience more. You don't exist more. It's like you take drugs and you have this incredible experience, right? Or better yet, wait. Or you go to this shir and you experience. All right. Anyway, when that happens, we know Mashiach has arrived. Anyway, no. Ruchni, when you experience that type of ruchni, you experience more. That's what you do. But it doesn't change your being, you see, because you're physical and you remain physical. In Olam Haba, but we never experience existence, you see. But in Olam Haba, you experience existence. That is even Malachim do not experience gradations in existence at all. They exist and that's it. Yeah, they're a spiritual existence, that's true, and they are subject to whatever laws of that universe is, that's fine. But they don't exist more, whatever they are, and they're stuck in that way. But in Olam Haba, you exist more. And I always bring a proof from the Chazal, the Lashon, the expression, where it says, Ayin lo yiraso. The eye has never beheld. It says, whatever the prophet spoke about, right, is only regarding this world. But what will be in the future world, which is Olam Haba, Ayin lo yiraso. The eye has never beheld that. You see. So I think what it should have said is Moyach lo hisig. The mind that cannot comprehend what will be in that world. It doesn't say that. It says the eye has never beheld. What does that mean? It means we can have an understanding, a cognitive understanding of what that is, but there's no way we can We can comprehend that understanding because we've never seen it. We've never experienced a being, certainly within ourselves, where the existence itself is graded. In other words, you cannot exist more. There's a level of existence and that's it. But Olam Haba is a place that you exist more. Why? Because since you are dovak, you are attached to God, and one of the essential ideas of God is that He is existence itself, right? Therefore, if you experience God more, what do you experience? Existence more. There you are. You see? But anyway, and that, obviously, experiencing existence more is the greatest pleasure that is known, that can exist. Let's put it this way. What was that?
It's really the Rambam says this.
Who?
The Rambam says this.
Yeah, go ahead. The what?
When he describes
the Rambam,
he says that Tzadikim Yoshim Hashem B'Rashein.
Yeah, the Gemara says that.
And that a Metzias, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that the enemy Yechol let us avoid the Beguf.
Yeah, but he's not saying that there's a gradation in existence. What he's simply saying is that if you want to know what's going on in Olam Haba, Tzadikim sit, right, and they derive enormous pleasure from Ziv HaShechina, from the divine splendor, But what is the experiencing of Dveikus, the divine splendor? Doesn't say.
But he adds that that's something that they can't do in this world.
Yeah, no, of course not.
Be out of this world to do it.
Yeah, but it's more than that. You really can't even do it in the next world either. You cannot do it in the world of angels. They don't do this. They exist at a certain level, whatever that is. Let's say whatever quantity that is, and that's it. They don't experience changes in existence itself. You see, I'm not talking about changes in the quality of a person. I'm talking about changes in the existence of the person. It's a different concept, and so on. Nobody does that.
It says that Chia was able to go up and down
that's
existence, but
no, you're confusing. This is all events and phenomenon of this world and whatever. Olam Hazeh. Forget about Olam Haba. Nobody knows what Olam Haba is. Nobody can mastik, as Chazal say. We can comprehend that in words, but we cannot comprehend that in experience because we've never seen it.
But when you learn,
no, you don't understand. Wait. You do not understand what I said. If you're asking that question, then you do not understand what it means, what I just said, which is that existence itself varies. Being itself varies. Not the experience that a being has. You're confusing the two. You're not getting it. Anyway, you think about it.
The existence of having, well, I don't know if you're saying Vegas or existence.
Existence, not experience. You know, when a guy has Ruach HaKodesh, or a guy has Nevuah, right? He's still the same guy, except his experience is incredibly different. But he still is what he is, yes? But his experience, I mean, you know what experience is, what he's thinking, what he's feeling, you know, whatever they, you know, and so on. But he doesn't change in terms of being. He still is the same guy experiencing Novi, you know, and that's it. You're mixing up experience with being. Two different things. It's subtle. I'll give you that. But that's what it is. But in any case, and then by the time you get to the year 9,000, then the world, that begins Olam Haba. You know, so it takes 3,000, from 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and those 3,000 years, because remember, that's what happens. You go from Asiyah to Yetzirah to Bria to Atzilus, and then you go to what's called Odom Kadmon, which is the highest world in Kabbalah, and that is the equivalent of Olam Haba.
It's back at 9 because it's 9,000.
Because
it's 9,000.
okay, fine. But you know what a beautiful remez of that is? It's my remez, you know. But it's interesting remez, you know. How many times does it say Kitov on Tuesday? On the third day, twice, right? It says Kitov because the Rebbe Hashem didn't finish doing what he had to do on Monday. He finished on Tuesday, so right. So it says Kitov what he did on Tuesday, but also it's Kitov what he did on, you know, the previous day and so on. So therefore it says Kitov twice. That's why they say that Tuesday is a great day to start something, because Tuesday was blessed with the fact that God said Kitov and it is good. That's why that's why it's great to start things on Tuesday, for those who are procrastinating on Sunday and Monday. Anyway, so what is my chiddush, you know, that the reason why it says Kitov twice, right? Because it says Vayal Elokim es kol asher asa, God saw everything He made, Kitov made, right? But there's two tovs that God did, really. There's this existence, which is Olam Hazeh, right? And then there's Olam Haba. Olam Haba is qualitatively different than Olam Hazeh. It's not a better place. You know, and most people, when they ask them, so what do you think the utopia really is? You know, what they call paradise, right? Well, they're paradise, right? There's no bills to pay. Think about that, right? You don't have to go out and make a living, right? You just relax. It's like being on the beach in Bermuda, right? And drinking a margarita or something like that, you know, for the rest of your life. This is what some people think about, right? That's the good life, right? No bills, no jobs, no disease, no death, no nothing. Wow, what a life, right? And all the pleasure you'd absolutely want, just by wanting it, there it is, and so on. No, Olam Hazeh is a different type of existence altogether, you see. So all the worlds, the spiritual and the physical, that's an existence, fine, you see. But Olam Haba is a different type of existence altogether. And therefore, if you think about therefore, and it says that God saw that everything He made, Kitov, was good. But that Kitov refers to two different things, doesn't it? The first Kitov refers to Olam Hazeh, this world. And the other Kitov refers to Olam Haba, the next world, which is really the future world. Correct? But wait a minute. I'm telling you, Kitov refers to Olam Hazeh, and the second Kitov will refer to the future world, which is completely different type of existence, right? Now, so Tuesday is good, Kitov, right? What happened on Tuesday? Now, if each day of creation is what? Is equivalent to 1,000 years, right? So when the world was 2,000 years old, which was the equivalent of Tuesday, correct? What was the Tov that happened? Torah. Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu was 52 years old when the world turned 2000. There we are. It is the origin and the birth of the Jewish people. And they're the ones who started the Tikkun. So Kitov refers to Avram Avinu, right? Which was 2,000 years, which is on the creation calendar, Tuesday. Yes? But the second Kitov, yes, is also Tuesday. But it's not this week. It's the next week. Yes? So how many thousands of years have to go by for the next Tuesday? 9,000. The 9th day, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? So in the 9,000th year, which is the following Tuesday, it's also Kitov, and that's Olam Haba. Nice drasha, huh? You know? It's a beautiful remez. Yeah, so there's a regular shot that the Rosh had to finish what he's doing. Then there's the concept that Kitov refers to not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, which is the 9th day, which is the 9,000th year, and that's the beginning of Olam Haba. Nice. Anyway, so therefore that's how long it takes. So the body takes 3,000 years to change from a physical being, albeit no death and very young and all that, to a complete spiritual entity where the body will be like a transparent sheath. That's all that's left of the body. That will exert nothing. You know, it will exert absolutely nothing. So the neshama will be walking around with this sheath of a purely transparent thing walking around. What was that? Full tikkun of? Yeah, well, I'm not, yeah. Anyway, so that's the story of the story of what the whole concept of zikuch and how it will take place and why it's restricted and how it's unrestricted and so on and so forth.
Death was only introduced after the faith.
What was that?
Death was only introduced after the faith.
Correct. Yeah. Death was necessary. That's why when God said to Adam Rishon, in the day that you eat it, you will die, right? What the Rebbe was really saying, not that death was a punishment, although in a certain sense it is, you know. But what it really was saying is that death will have to happen because there's no Tchesa Mesa without death. Because since the Zoyama will enter you, right? As a result of that, you can no longer mezakech, purify your body. So therefore you're going to have to separate, and separation is death, right? That's really what it is. So you know, so the fact that he had to die is not an einish, so to speak, although it is at a certain level, but it's really a statement about the reality that Adam Rishon created. Got to die, because no way to the neshama to be mezakech, even if God unrestricts it, right? Because the neshama cannot purify evil; it's got to be removed. And that can only be removed with death. Okay?
What if you control your Yitzhak, you machnia, and then you're a master over the Yitzhak?
Yeah, so that
still live. It says that you
you still have to die because of the chet of Adam Rishon. The only three people, if you want to say,
it says the Mount Moses doesn't have any control over you if you're in control of the Yitzhak.
A person has to die. Period. The only three people that never died, which is interesting. And even
there's Elionavi
and Chanoich.
Chanoich became Matat.
Yeah, but anyway, those are the only three people in all humanity, right, that never died, and that itself is incredible that they never died, and so on. How did they pull it off? The only Chanoich was one, Elionavi and Serach Basosha, and that's because Yaakov Avinu gave her the bracha, because she's the one who told Yaakov, "Oh Yosef Chai," right, and like he was so overjoyed. He said, "You should live forever." Wow, what a tzad! It's incredible. It's
she
like
also played music.
That's to give it to him gently, you know, because he's.
That's where the Malachim all play.
No. Yeah, okay. Forget Shira. She played the music just to ease him into the fact that Yosef is still alive and so on, you know. But in any case, so he blessed her, and as a result of that blessing, she walked. That was it. She lived hundreds of years, Serach Basosha, even into the time of the Nevi'im, whatever. And then she went up and finished, you know. The only one who was a semi...
What about Yeshua ben Levi?
Yeah, well... Yeah, that's true, because he's... No, Yeshua ben Levi, whatever, but it would also seem that, yeah, he wanted to see it.
He would never leave it.
He had a discussion, if I remember correctly, with the Malach HaMavis, and he said, I want to check out, so he brought him up there, and once he was up there, he said, I'm not leaving, so, Sichap Ryan, as they say. And then they said to him, well, he gave a neder, so, well, let's check him out. If he never broke his neder, we got to respect his words. But you have to understand what all that means. The only one who really did that, the equivalent of going up alive, except he came back, was Moshe Rabbeinu. When he went up Matan Torah, right? He went up to heaven to get the Torah, literally, right? And then the Malachim had a whole dialogue with him. They said, well, why are you getting it? We want the Torah, right? And so on. So, and then it says, Ma'im lo shasisi, lechem, I didn't eat any bread, and so on, because what happened was when Moshe Rabbeinu went up, he experienced what he would experience in Gan Eden, which means that the guf, or actually the guf does not exert any type of eating or drinking and so on, or whatever he had up there. So that's sort of like the only equivalent that we can find. But it just shows you the power of Yaakov Avinu. Get a bracha out of him. You get him, you live forever. I once heard a story which is fascinating, where the Vilna Gaon, all over the Vilna Gaon, it just shows you the power of a tzaddik. The Vilna Gaon was he was walking. He learned all day, and he had his talis and tefillin on all day. So he was once in shul, and of course, when the Vilna Gaon, he got up, or whatever he was doing there, to go back to his house or whatever, and so everybody just made way for the Vilna Gaon, right? And all of a sudden, the Vilna Gaon is walking, and his talis is beginning to slip off his back. You heard this story?
Yeah.
I gotta hear the story. Wait. So the talis began to slip off his back. So he turns around, and he sees that some kid was stepping on his tzitzis. Obviously as he go there, so the kid probably moved his feet. Bam, stepping on a tzitzit. You know what happens? You caught tzitzit and caught in a chair. It's off, right? So the Vilna Gaon turned around and looked at the kid, and the kid froze. I mean, this is the Vilna Gaon looking at you. He froze, So the Vilna Gaon realized, this kid is not going to lift his foot off the tzitzis, because this kid he's like, frozen with fear. I mean, it's a fear of this holy man, So the Vilna Gaon had to ease this kid, like he had to calm him down, So he said to the kid 2 words: "Lang leben," live long. And on that day, what happened? The kid went home. Yeah, the kid lifted his foot, but "Lang leben," live long. This is from the mouth of the Vilna Gaon, right? On that day, his family made a whole celebration. Because if the Vilna Gaon said live long, right, that's better than a CD in a bank. It's better than the FDIC guaranteeing your bank loan, And they say that this kid lived till, I think he's 95 or 99. Astounding.
I heard the story that I know you're a great tzaddik. That's what the Vilna Gaon said. I know you're a great tzaddik.
To who? To the kid?
To the kid.
I
know you're a great tzaddik, but can you please get off my talis?
No.
That day, it was a different variation.
Well, so then why?
That day, they
why?
Why? Because he called him a tzaddik, and he grew up to be a big tzaddik.
Oh, you heard that version?
That's a different version.
Oh wow, that must be Hasidic version. I probably got the Litvish version.
I'm Litvish. I told the Hasidic version. You're Hasidic. You told me the Litvish version.
Okay, Anyway, it's I love these stories, how they change depending on which culture, decides to tell you the story. You hear it many times, no, this tzaddik, no, that tzaddik did it, no. But this story, I don't recall if I read it or saw it, but it makes sense. Lang leben, he said, live long, and that was it. The guy lived, and remember, tell you something. This is the Vilna Gaon lived in the 18th century, right? 1720 to 1796, something like that. The average lifespan in those days was like what, 45? That's it. That's why the guy doubled, which is funny that the average lifespan, even at the turn of the century, was like 50. That's all it was. We don't realize that the average lifespan now is 80 years old. It's incredible, you know. In those years, the average lifespan at the time of Romans, you know what that was? 25. That's why they're married when they were 13. Because you can never have there's no kids. You're dead by the time you. That means most people never raise their kids. It's astounding. That was the average lifespan, was 25 years old. It's incredible when you think about that, you know. But anyway, so you hear that. So that's like it's not totally like obviously like Yaakov Avinu promised I'm going to heaven alive and all that, but it's not bad. Who? Which one? Who?
According to one medrash, they were not killed, but they went up.
No. The one that fell down from.
Rabbi Shmuel,
Oh,
yeah,
the
but
beginning.
he didn't go into Gan Eden, just went up to here, you know.
No, it's Pardes. You mean Pardes?
No, that's not what they want to Shemaim to
find
see
out.
if he
After
Shemaim, that
After
he
a
should
part,
be here.
it says.
So Shemaim Mishman couldn't go though, he went up.
That's a whole. No. We say that V'tir Rabbi Shmuel Atzmoy on Yom Kippur. No, that's different. He meditated, he went up. That's Ruach. What he did was Ruach HaKodesh, by the way. It's not Nevuah. He went up to Olam Yetzirah.
It's consciousness.
Not his consciousness went up to Olam Yetzirah. He didn't stay here, but all of a sudden Olam Yetzirah appeared to his imagination. That's how it works, right? And all of a sudden, it's like a movie screen, but you can interact. You know, it's interactive, as they say. You know. And he asked the Malach, whatever said, the Vush Abadim.
Why is it called Oila?
Who?
Why is it called Oila?
The Oila. Yeah. No, because his consciousness went up. Means what was some aspect of, you know. And then he spoke to the Malach. Malach said, that's the decree, you cannot alter it. And then he came, not that he came down, he never left, but his consciousness was restored here. That's a whole different...
How do you explain them going physically into Gan Eden? Unless, there's a Gemara that says Eliyahu takes his body and kind of like leaves it on the side.
Who went physically?
Eliyahu, Sarfar, Asher, Hanoch, they all went physically to Gan Eden.
Yeah, okay, so obviously...
So there must be some sort of physical aspect.
Obviously, there's got to be some accommodation for physical people. They probably have a special hotel for guys with bodies. I don't know. What you're saying is right. There obviously is some type of accommodation.
There is a book, and it's
but I'm not even Eliyahu is a malach.
Where these people go through the Mars Machpelah to see the
That's right. That's a medrash.
And they actually go and see their relatives on physical form.
Yes.
They're looking at physical.
Well, he's quoting. I once said it a long time ago. There's a medrash. I gave the shir way back. That the entrance to Gan Eden or Elyon is through the Mars Machpelah. So it says when a person dies, his neshama goes through that. Mars Machpelah, where you have the Ovis and other Mauritian. Yeah. So it's an incredible medrash. Maybe that's why you can't go down. Who knows what that is, But it can't mean that. What do you mean? You go to Chevron these days, right? You don't see Gan Eden,
Yeah, Chevron is
anyway, but
he's above.
No. Yeah, whatever. But even that doesn't make sense. No, it probably means that when you go, as the neshama goes through that, the portal, the portal to Olam Yetzirah is located in that spot. That's probably what it means. There's no.
Is in Yetzirah?
Is in Yetzirah, yeah, and that's really where you go. Okay. That's it. So that's the whole understanding of Zikuch and so on and so forth, of what all this is and so on. Why you have Olam Habo, why you have Olam Neshamas, why there's death, Zoyama. All this is because of that, and therefore the neshama has to wait. It has to wait until the year 8,000 because it can perform the Zikuch. But once it performs Zikuch, right? Then it performs the Zikuch, which means the purification of the physical body, right? Then the body is purified, because without that you can't get into Olam Haba, you see. But once you're into Olam Haba, then the reward level depends on what you did here. That depends on the reward level you have here. But Olam Haba, it says, is infinite. It's an infinite upward climb. Why? Because Olam Haba is that tzaddikim, they have no menucha even in the next world. we may have no menucha.
You'll eventually get to the level that Moshe Rabbeinu got to when he first came.
Yeah, well, you'll get to that easy, no problem. But it's an infinite upward grid climb.
Haba, you'll get there eventually.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. No, much greater, No, Moshe Rabbeinu never went to Olam Haba. He went to.
I'm saying.
You'll get to where he was, his level. Yeah.
When both of you entered Olam Haba.
Yeah.
He entered light years ahead of you.
Yeah.
But.
Oh yeah, but
you'll get there eventually.
But yeah. But you don't know it. You see, obviously nobody knows what the other guy's experiencing, or else he would have incredible jealousy. And therefore, what kind of Olam Haba is that? You're just burning up for eternity, knowing what the other guy has,
We celebrated your time because the neshama goes higher. Like you're saying, it has
what yortzai? What are you talking about?
Every neshama has a yortzai.
Yes.
So why are we celebrating? Is because that neshama every year goes higher in Olam Haba.
How does it go higher? There is no Olam Haba. It goes higher in Gan Eden. There's no Olam Haba. There is no Olam. Yeah, okay, that's okay.
Gan Eden.
Yeah. But it's an upward climb, which means that on Sunday, whatever that is, you will experience, let's say, for 5 degrees of Olam Haba. On Monday, 6 degrees. So it's an infinite, eternal climb. We can't even imagine what that is. That it's an infinite climb. It's infinite. It never ends. And every day or every second, however the time, whatever the measurement of time is, there's an upward climb for
time
eternity. What?
Time will still exist.
Well, it's hard to know what time is over there, but obviously if there's a progression, it's got to be time. If there's a change, obviously it's got to exist in time, although we don't really know what time is in that dimension. But clearly it has to allow for past, present, and future.
Right.
Or else it wouldn't make sense,
What state is the world in?
What was that?
2,000 years.
What?
What state is the world in those 2,000 years between
3,000
and 9,000?
From 8, 9, from 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9.
Yeah.
Oh no. So what happens is, So what happens is when the body begins to not resurrect, but retransform, right? Then it goes back to the world that was now. Zikuch happens to this world, the whole physical universe, right? Takes 1,000 years. After the 1,000 years, everybody comes back to this world. So the world already has a zikuch. Just the individuals don't have their zikuch. You see.
But the world won't exist in its present
state. No, it won't. It'll be a complete. Yeah,
right.
It'll be a completely different type of existence. This world.
What do you mean this world? So there'll be
So if you're thinking of coming back to your house,
long-term investment.
So in the year 8,000, people come back to Eretz Yisrael, whatever it is.
They'll come back to this world and completely retransformed, whatever that is. Yeah, we have no concept of what a world looks like after Zikuch, and then that's what's going to happen, But so that's really what it is. I told you in terms of that Zoya takes 220 years. That means that was it 2016, almost 17, 16? By the year of 2030, you should have Mashiach ben David, right? Because Kessin starts right after Mashiach ben David comes, right? And it will last 210 years. So if you look at 6,000 or the year 6,000 and minus 210 years, because that's when Mashiach ben David come, it's the English year 2030. You see, which makes sense. Because that's why you have such an incredible change in America.
It's 2030?
Yeah, 14 years from now. Mashiach ben David. Yeah.
Well,
it's astounding. That means Mashiach ben Yosef, who's going to come before, what? He's going to be earlier.
You gotta get to work.
So according to Zoya, we got 14 years to the total redemption, right? But which is the Kessin, that it's over with, So therefore, 14 years. Chaparine with all it's full speed ahead, as they say,
Cram.
Yeah, well, you can't cram, but full speed ahead. But I believe that. I believe sincerely. Like I say, just whatever. We have entered the time of Be'itoi. You have no idea what Be'itoi. Be'itoi means it's the end time. It means it cannot be reversed. It's unstoppable and irreversible. It's what they called, and God will bring the Redeemer in its end time, guaranteed. It's not a cheshena where it depends on our merits. It's now the end. The Jews that did the tikkun through the 2,000 years of Golus and so on, and therefore, and that's the only reason why the process has to begin. And the beginning of the process, now you understand, is what? Is sumera. Means the world has to begin to change from its evil state to a state of tahara, the absence of evil, and then the kedusha state. And therefore, Edom has to change at the end of time, right? Because I brought you... I'm about to say that. And therefore Edom, which I brought a bunch of chazals, that Edom has to change at the end of time to assist Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, to finish the tikkun. And I brought a whole share on that, right? And that's why Trump clearly is the choice. And he is changing America. As far as I'm concerned, you don't even realize what this guy's going to do. In fact, he doesn't even realize what he's going to do. You know, but that's his mission. And I hope I don't think he understands it, but I said in a couple of shum before, this man has to have a spiritual advisor. You know? That, hey, you got to stay on board, you got to stay, you know, the way they call it, they say you got to stay in the narrow, the straight line, don't deviate and start the business with, placating, compromising with the left. No. This is your shlichus, you need to do it. And don't worry, you'll be successful, and you will be therefore the first stage of the whole messianic process. And I believe Mashiach ben Yosef will come. I believe he's already alive, by the way. Real question, does he know who he is or not? I don't know. But the main idea is that, and then he will come, and that itself will be a slow growth of ben Yosef, as I gave a whole share on that. And we are looking at the redemption, and unbelievable, short amount of time.
You said 3 years? Mashiach ben Yosef?
No, I didn't say 3 years for Mashiach ben Yosef. I said 14 years for the end. That according to that medrash, we're only 14 years from the end. And it makes sense, because just think about what has happened now with Trump is historical. It never happened before. You know, what you're witnessing now has never happened in American history. It's got to mean something. I mean, it's not just, wow, it's interesting what's going on. It's not interesting. It's a ma'apecha. It's a complete overturn of the previous order.
So Mashiach ben Yosef can be any time for that?
You mean his revelation or his existence?
Revelation.
It can be any time before, yeah. It could be
5 minutes.
Yeah, it could be when Trump gets. I believe it will not be certainly before Trump becomes president, because that's the beginning of the end. But it can be any time, next year after, whatever it is. It's a process, because first Edom has to be ready to do this, you know, and then the Mashiach ben Yosef, who's in the klipa, who himself is paralyzed, he has to remove the paralysis, and then after as he grows, and then people begin to recognize that, hey, he sounds like the Messiah, Mashiach. Because in the beginning, there are many people that would say, this guy can't be Mashiach, it's impossible. It's a whole, I brought down Rav Kaduri, what Rav Kaduri says about Mashiach and so on. That people will be stunned. This guy's a Mashiach? Give me a break. You know? Yet he's the very person who will redeem, and because the reason why Mashiach is so unrecognizable, Yosef HaTzadik, right? Ani Yosef, and they all looked at him, huh? Right? That's exactly what's going to happen. Mashiach ben Yosef is Ani Yosef, and nobody believes that he's Yosef. And the reason for that, as I once mentioned, is because in order for him to be concealed from the prosecutions of the Satan, nobody really recognizes who he is, and he has to be that kind of a person where that can't be. The only time you begin to recognize this individual is when the klipa, that which keeps him limited and paralyzed, right, begins to dissolve. Then little by little this guy comes out. Interesting. And people are going to realize that, wait a minute, this guy's not normal. But not normal in Kedusha, you know. And he will grow.
Do you have an idea of who that person is? I mean, if you're saying he's alive and you
I want to tell you something. Here's the way I always answer people. If I knew who he was, I could never say. And if I don't know who he is, I certainly can't say. That's all.
What about the Ishmael?
What about him?
Don't they need any kind of tikkun to get moving?
All these people will have a tikkun basically after the Mashiach comes. then everybody has, because it says, and my house will be a house of tefillah, l'chol amim. I mean, everybody gets it straight after he comes. The question is, if you get it straight before he comes, then you are actually involved in the tikkun process. You see, that's the incredible thing. Therefore, you get reward. That's why when you look at what Obama did, right, in terms of the UN, it's unbelievable. Not only did this guy fail to do what he should have done, right, which is to bring a refuah to Yishmael, you know, he actually made it worse for the Jewish people. Right?
Because they're very far from reversing their decision and going and doing the right thing.
Who, the UN?
The UN.
Yeah, it does, yeah, but America
Trump
can...
here, Trump here, they're not like changing their hashkafa so fast.
No, but like I said, America's very powerful. America can say, you know, if you don't change what you just did, you can move back to Zurich. Kick them out. Or, you know, we support, what is it? What's the budget we give you guys?
For 28%.
28%? I think you guys better get into fundraising.
No, there's a legislation, Graham, legislation like
To take it away.
They voted, including the UN, for allowing it to come.
Yeah.
Cut funding and to
Oh yeah? Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh, Valdik.
Introduced legislation. Yeah.
Obama does not realize he just committed suicide. Obama committed spiritual suicide. But you know really what happened? You know why Obama did this?
What, abstain?
Who?
You mean abstain?
Yeah.
To show Trump.
Because this is before Yishmael goes under. Remember, Obama is Yishmael, isn't he? And what I said? You know, when a guy's about to go under, what does he do? He struggles, right? Who's he struggling? Who's Yishmael struggling with, really? Jews, right? Right? So Obama, which represents Yishmael, is going under, aren't they? The whole Middle East is collapsing. It's over. And if Obama represents that, if you remember the first year I gave, who Obama was and all that, he's going under. So guess what? He's not going, it's like Shimshon said, Thomas Nafshin Pelishtim. You know, if I go down, you guys are going down with me, right? That's exactly what you saw, which makes sense. Because that's the beginning of the end of Yishmael's ability to counteract. And the rise of, you don't realize, the rise of Trump is the rise of the Jews. Because he just assigned, who did he appoint? David Friedman? It's incredible. The guy's an unbelievable Oyev Yisrael. He's a Shomer Shabbos, right? He was the president of the territories. I mean, what do you call it? Yehud and Shomron. He's the president. You know, he's a fundraiser for this. He gives it. I mean, this guy's incredible with Israel. You know, can you imagine what the Arabs are thinking? That this guy is now going to become what? The guy who is going to be the ambassador? It's impossible. And he said himself, he says the only guys that the liberals who want, everybody wants a two-state solution, they're as good as the capos by the Nazis. And this is the ambassador to Israel. Could you believe that? You know, obviously, not only that, if Netanyahu or any of these guys or Lieberman say, well, we have to freeze. So guess what? Friedman said, what are you, crazy? America demands you build.
You never heard that.
It's like, what? Excuse me. No, the only message I ever heard was, you're not allowed to build. You know, between Obama and Biden, it was just incredible. Build. They want bananas, right? And Friedman and Trump is going to say, we demand that you build and you do this. It's yours. You have no idea. When he moves that embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, it's fireworks. It's going to be a July 4th that you've never seen before. Talk about Independence Day. Because that's the end of the Shlita of Yishmael. It is the end of the Shlita of the Rash of Esav, of the evil of Edom, of Esav. It's over with. So therefore, in order to, that's how they're going to do their tikkun. They are going to encourage Israel to expand and do everything and then give them tremendous trade. You name it. Why are they going to do that? Why are they going to do that? So now you understand why Obama did his, right? Makes sense, because he's going down. He's going to try to take the Jews down with him, right? It's called last licks, whatever they call it, right? But why does Edom have to do this? Why? Do you know why? Because in order for the Jews to come back from America or Europe or anywhere else to Israel, right? You got to change the economy. You got to change the whole Israel. You see? But in order to do that, You got to expand and build all over the place. You got to be mechen Eretz Yisrael for Klal Yisrael, right? So under the rule of Obama, forget it. You couldn't expand. It was ridiculous what these guys did to Israel, right? But under Trump, there will be an incredible expansion of economics, right? Security. You know what I'm saying? Building and construction. It's going to be this is all part of the divine plan, right? To get Eretz Yisrael ready for the influx of what? Of the Gullus, the diaspora. Don't you see what's happening? You see? It's unbelievable what's happening, It's like, in fact, for the person who understands what is happening, it is astonishing to watch. Astonishing. To watch what Obama's doing as he dies and his legacy is over. That's his destruction. And boy, is he going to... You forget about what his legacy is. He's going to go down the tubes, this guy, But the Hashem is going to go after him for what he did and so on, But in terms of this whole thing is to build up Eretz Yisrael so the diaspora can end, the Golus, and the Jews will come back to a land that is teeming with success. That's what it's all about, gentlemen. Astonishing, isn't it?
Man, he said that he's only going to work in Jerusalem before they move the...
He's going to go on?
He's only going to work out of Jerusalem.
Who said? Yeah.
He said that.
I didn't hear that, but I heard he said...
Before they move the embassy, he's only working out of Jerusalem. He's not working out of Tel Aviv.
This is like Messianic. This isn't normal. Don't you see the radical shift in the world view of Israel? How it's shifting, where Eretz Yisrael is now going to be the top of the universe. I told last time, when they move that embassy, it's not just an embassy. Everybody's going to line up to trade with Israel because everybody's going to know that, well, we want to curry favor with the U.S. The way to do that is curry favor with Israel.
These events are happening so quick, people don't have time to comprehend the significance of it.
Your head is spinning. All our heads are spinning. Why? Because it's be'itoi. And you only got 14 years to do the job. Think about it. Could you imagine the rate of change in order to bring Ben David in 14 years? That's why. Every day is people are, I don't have the internet, but I can imagine people reading his tweets, Trump's tweets. Every day there's something else. It's like, it's like nobody can keep up with this guy. He is no longer a president-elect. He is a phenomenon that is unheard of in American history. You see. And wait till he gets the power on January 20th. I predict that on January 20th, when he gets sworn in, people are going to make a party for the end of Obama. Thank God he's gone. It's like the sickness of America is over.
But a lot of people will do it.
A lot. You know how many people are waiting?
They come out of the woodwork because they were too scared.
Exactly, yeah. But when he eats that, people are going to come out and and after 100 days, when he changes America, everybody's going to have a party except the Democrats.
It's you couldn't even rely on the police anymore because they were fighting. Obama was fighting the police.
Of course, it's crazy. It's insane.
At that point, society hit the lowest point.
Yeah. Obama's the worst thing to hit the U.S. in history. They don't realize that, how bad he was. Look, it's too bad. He's a fool. He had the Congress with him for 2 years. That man, if he, when he got in, everybody, some guy once said he got chills running down his spine. You know what I'm saying? This man had the ability to change America because he had everybody believing he was the Messiah. Everybody.
The early tapes, they were all calling him Messiah.
Exactly.
That's it.
Could you imagine what an opportunity? And what this man blew it is not only he did not do the change, but he made America much worse. I mean, this guy is the biggest failure in human history. That's what I think. A man should have that type of opportunity, right? Mamish to change America for an unbelievable. You know what killed him? His gaiva. His unbelievable egomaniacal drive. That's what killed him. In the end, that's what killed him.
He also wasn't the man for the job.
That's part of the reason why. But that's what killed
Where
him.
did he come from? You know, his mother was a this and his father was a that. And
Nah, that in itself that's not. But it's not that. Who was he? He's a community organizer.
He had no values.
Nothing. Community organizer. It's a. But like I say, I gave that share, the first share. Why he became president is because he's Shmuel. That Sutton is dying and therefore needs everything from Shmuel.
Israeli government.
I gave that share 2 weeks ago. The Erev Rav, they're the next. And who the Erev Rav is, who's going to overcome the Erev Rav is unknown. That's next.
Yeah.
I hope they're quaking in their boots. I mean, what they want to do to Ammona is beyond belief. The Arabs claim that Ammona is theirs, that their land is theirs. Ammona. What's the name? It's somewhere in the... It's a yishuv in the territories. They want to claim. The Arabs have no proof. Who ever heard that people can come and say, this is my land without proof, and they're going to evict the Jews? You have any idea what kind of einish they're going to get? It's us even to have Arabs in Israel.
All the time. They knock down like
the Supreme Court.
half a year ago a shul.
Yeah. Some Arab claimed that the guy had evidence. Nothing, no proof.
There's 6,000 illegal Arab buildings that they just looked the
I
other
want to
day.
tell you something. It's like they can all get away with this. I'm talking about Jews, which is tragic. This Erev Rav Jews can get away with it now because it's their time to dominate. But when the time comes when it's ended, you have no idea what's going to happen to these guys. No idea. Because they have destroyed the Jewish people. They have destroyed the Judaism, the spirituality. It's just beyond belief what's going to happen to these guys. It's tragic because they're Jews.
The Arab don't have a ticket?
No.
No?
I mean, that tikkun. I mean, yeah.
Well,
I mean, with Gehenna and everything else, they have their own tikkun.
They're what?
With Gehenna and everything else, they have a tikkun. Yeah, they'll get into Olam Haba.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, but after
It's going to be through a process.
a lot of sweat and tears, as they say. Look, they're Jews. It's tragic to watch Jews be so vile as to allow an Arab to take over Israel, right? And throw out Jews from their property, and then take away a settlement, and they don't even have the proof. The Arabs don't have proof. What is wrong with these people? You see, and that's why Trump is going to change that whole. It takes Edom to put sense into the Erev Rav. Watch.
But they're looking to pass a law in the Senate. In the
What, to make retroactive?
That anything that the Arabs have claims to, they could build on. They're trying to pass laws.
Yeah.
Well, the Supreme Court is using it. There's no law that you're allowed to build an Arab land.
Yeah, one of the most evil institutions I never seen anything is the Supreme Court in Israel. They're not even legal.
Yeah, what's
What
the basis?
in other
the
words,
basis?
what authority have? How could you then? And they're not even voted. Yet they can overturn a law in the Knesset. What
Based on
that?
what?
Based on what?
There's no constitution.
Because, like Aaron Barak said, you can judicial. You can judicialize everything.
Yeah, but
Means
what's the
everything is
point?
subject to the rule of the court. Is he out of his mind?
What is the rule of the court? What is
There
the
is none.
guideline? What is it? Geneva? I mean, what is it?
Well, the only thing that they have is what's called a basic law. They don't have a constitution.
Right. That's my point.
It's insane. Well, look. The Supreme Court in Israel is an activist court. It's an activist
God.
court. They want to rule. How can
It's just anti-Haredi.
What is their guideline? They don't have they don't have a tax guideline.
No, it's illegal. You know how many lawyers say that you talk about overreach? The Supreme Court is way into overreach.
Cancelled.
Because
No, it doesn't.
no, you understand. Nobody has the guts to stand up to the Supreme Court. You see, nobody has the guts. That's the problem. They're all timid wimps, and that's two things. They're timid and they're wimps. That's a double.
Double sword.
Right? That's what they are. Nobody. There are some people that have come out against it, but nobody. Where's Netanyahu? What is he? A wimp?
He's a big one.
It's terrible. How do you allow? It's unheard of in any government in the world that the Supreme Court can dictate laws to the legislative body. The Knesset makes the laws, and the Supreme Court enforces the laws, not the reverse.
They're saying every law is to fit with the Constitution. There is no Constitution. What is the base that they're working within? What is the framework they're working within?
Anyway, okay. Oh, next week there's no shir because I'm having everybody. I'm sure everybody. Whatever.
There's only one or two.
There's only 2 after that, and then I'm out of here for 8 weeks, and then I'm back right after Purim. So, sorry, you just have to wait. Oh, but it'll be great, because it'll be after Trump. After about 70 days. Oh, it's going to be absolutely incredible. What?
Mendel, every shit comes back to Trump.
What?
Every shit comes back to Trump.
Well, because it's such an ongoing, because what is astonishing is what's happening. It's hard to leave that out. It's just incredible,
It was a nace that he actually won.
Who?
Still looking at the nace that everyone, up to 1 in the morning, they were saying Clinton was winning, and all of a sudden there was this turnaround.
And I called it a year and a half ago. You don't say it's not a nace, it's a nace niglo.
Yeah, it's a nace niglo.
There's a nace, coincidence, but wow, this, what the odds against is happening? That's a nes. But a nes niglo is something which defies human experience. Defies it. Even though in a certain way it can be explained.